auctioneer's voice is rough, grinding through the cold air. "Who'll start the bidding for this girl?" His eyes darted between the crowd, hands held wide as if offering a dead deer. The girl stands in front of him, hands tied, wearing the remnants of her last life. The air smells like wet dust, the kind that makes everything heavy. A few men stir, leaning in. A flash of pity crosses their faces, then vanishes. The girl doesn't flinch. Her eyes, sharp and steady, meet the crowd. Her lips are tight, not from fear, but from something deeper. She doesn't look down. She doesn't look away. She stares straight at the man watching her, standing off to the side, his hands shoved in the pockets of his worn jacket. His eyes are bloodshot, tired, as if he hasn't slept in years. His jaw is tight. Grief. His late wife's dog stands at his feet, unmoving, but the dog's eyes are trained on the girl, not like a normal dog. Something more, something older. The girl's gaze flickers to it, then back to the man, but she says nothing. Her face betrays nothing. A hand shoots up. A man with a thick beard wearing a dusty coat grins and calls out, $20. The auctioneer's hammer comes down. "Sold," he says. The crowd shifts, uncomfortable, like cattle shuffling. The girl's new owner steps forward. His boots crunch the ground. She doesn't move as he approaches. His hand brushes against her arm as he unties the rope around her wrists. His touch is cold, not kind. The dog takes a step forward, eyes locked on the girl, but it doesn't move closer. The girl stands still. "You'll be chopping firewood," the man says, his voice rough like the weathered wood he's asking her to cut. "That's all. Nothing more." She doesn't speak. She only nods once, her face unreadable. The man doesn't wait for more. He turns, not looking back, and begins walking away, the dog following in tow. She walks behind them, every step echoing in the silence that wraps around them like a thick fog. As they reach the edge of the town, the man mutters something to the dog, but it's too soft for her to hear. The dog's ears flick, but it doesn't turn to look at her. They reach the cabin, small and crooked, sitting at the edge of a barren field. It smells like burnt wood. The girl takes a breath and walks inside. The dog doesn't move from the porch. The man stares after her for a moment, and for a brief second, something stirs in his eyes. The door creaks shut behind her. Inside, the cabin is dark, the only light coming from a single oil lamp. The man gestures toward the firewood stacked in the corner. "Start with that," he says. His voice is low, like something he's pushing down, something he's trying to bury. The girl steps forward, taking the axe in her hand. The weight of it feels too heavy for her, but she doesn't say anything. The man watches, his back to her, standing in the doorway. The dog is still outside, sitting by the steps, watching. She swings the axe. The first crack of the wood sounds too loud in the silence. The dog lifts its head but doesn't move. The man's eyes flicker to it, then back to the girl. There's a strange, tense air between them, thick enough to choke on. The girl doesn't look up. She doesn't care if the man is watching. She doesn't care that he's judging her. All she knows is the swing of the axe, the crunch of the wood, the feel of the muscles in her arms screaming. She's not broken, not yet. But something in the air changes. It's like the house is breathing, shifting, like it remembers something long buried. The dog doesn't move. It stays by the steps, watching her every move. The man turns. His footsteps are slow, heavy, as if each one weighs more than the last. He steps outside but doesn't say a word. The girl keeps working, the sound of the axe on the wood steady. The dog's eyes are trained on her now. It's not just the man she's working for. The house is watching too. The land, the past. Something's been waiting for a long time, and it's not going to let her go. She feels it then. The weight. The pull. It's like the earth beneath her feet is shifting, like everything she's ever known is changing. And the dog, always the dog, still sits, silent, like it knows too, like it's waiting for something, something she's not yet ready to face. But she won't stop. Not yet. She won't let them break her. Not yet. The cabin door creaks open, and the girl steps inside. The air is thick with the scent of burnt wood and stale smoke. The fire flickers weakly in the hearth, casting uneven shadows across the room. The man, already seated at the wooden table, doesn't look up. His eyes are fixed on the smoldering fire, the lines of his face tight, like the skin of a man who's lived too long with regret. The girl's steps echo in the silence as she walks deeper into the room. The The dog watches her from the doorway, its eyes never leaving her. It doesn't growl, doesn't wag its tail. It just watches, as if waiting for something. The man finally glances at her, his expression unreadable. "Get to work," he says, his voice low, rough but not unkind. He doesn't offer her anything more. No food, no warmth, just the cold expectations of what she's here to do. She nods silently, too tired to argue, too far from anything that could feel like home. The weight of her situation sinks in as she moves toward the small corner where firewood is stacked. The wood is dry, cracked in places, rough against her fingertips. It feels like a world she's not meant to belong to. The dog follows her in, steps behind her without a sound. It doesn't leave. It never leaves. She can feel the weight of its gaze on her, like a shadow clinging to her every move. She glances over her shoulder once. The dog is there, sitting just outside the small kitchen area, its eyes fixed on her. The man doesn't say anything more. He simply watches her from the table, his face expressionless. The silence between them is thick, unspoken, a constant tension hanging in the air. She starts to chop the wood. The blade sinks into the log with a dull thud, but the rhythm feels off. Too slow, too deliberate. She doesn't know how long it takes, but when the pile starts to grow, the weight of the work begins to press down on her shoulders. It's not the kind of labor she's used to. There's no comfort in it, no satisfaction, just the weight of the axe, the weight of her thoughts, and the feeling of being watched. Every swing of the axe feels heavier than the last. The wood doesn't break easily. Her hands are sore, the blisters forming on her palms already. She can feel the dog's presence at her back. It doesn't move, doesn't make a sound. It just watches her. The man doesn't speak. He's not telling her she's doing it wrong. He's not saying anything at all. His eyes stay fixed on the fire. The weight of his silence feels heavier than the axe in her hands. She can't stand it anymore. "What's your name?" she asks, her voice barely above a whisper, but it cuts through the tension. The man doesn't answer right away. His eyes shift from the fire to her for the briefest moment, a flicker of something in them. Surprise? Disinterested? It's hard to tell. He looks back at the fire, then leans back in his chair. "Doesn't matter," he mutters. "I don't need a name." She goes back to the firewood. The dog remains, still watching her. Time passes like this. The woodpile grows, but the feeling in the air doesn't change. There's no comfort, no warmth. Just the gnawing silence and the sense that something isn't right. The man, the dog, the house, they all feel like something she's stepped into, not a place she belongs. When the fire starts to die down, the man stirs from his chair, his bones creaking like the old wood beneath him. He stands, stretching, and the dog rises with him, its movements slow, deliberate. He walks over to the fire and stokes it, adding a few more pieces of wood. "You'll sleep in the barn tonight," he says, his voice still rough. The girl stops. She looks up at him, the question hanging in the air. "Why the barn?" she asks, unable to stop herself. The man doesn't look at her. "It's where you belong," he says, and there's something cold in his words, something that doesn't sit right. The dog pads over to her, standing at her feet. Its eyes are locked on hers, its body stiff. "Can't even look after you, huh?" she mutters under her breath, almost to herself. She knows it's not the dog's fault. The dog doesn't have a choice. The man turns his head, catching the words. He doesn't say anything, but there's a shift in his posture. The air thickens and she can feel it. He's not just a man. He's something more. A memory she doesn't understand. A presence she can't shake. The dog doesn't bark. It doesn't growl. It just watches her. "Get some rest," he says, his voice flat. "You'll be up before dawn." The girl doesn't answer. She just turns and walks toward the door, the dog following her every step. The barn is cold, the hay smell clinging to the air, but it's not worse than the emptiness inside the cabin. She sets down her things, pulling the blanket from the straw, and the dog lays down beside her. In the silence, she stares at the ceiling. She can't remember how long it's been since she felt warmth, felt alive. The house, the man, the dog, they're all pieces of something broken, something she's not sure she can fix, but she'll try. She has to. The fire crackles low in the hearth, casting long shadows across the barn. The cold seeps into the wood, but the girl doesn't mind. She wraps the thin blanket tighter around her shoulders, her breath visible in the still air. The dog lays at her feet, its eyes half closed but never fully resting. She glances down at it, but the dog's gaze never leaves her. She shifts slightly, the ache of the day still settled deep in her bones. The silence in the barn is thick. Outside, the wind howls against the walls, but inside, it's a heavy kind of quiet, one that presses on the chest, weighing down the thoughts. She feels it, that empty space in her heart that won't go away. It's too wide to fill, too deep to ignore. The loneliness is a thing she can't outrun, not even in the dark. The girl sighs, the sound barely audible. She picks at the edges of her blanket, but her mind wanders. Then, without thinking, she starts to hum. The sound is soft at first, low in her throat, a quiet thing born of years of forgotten melodies. It's the song her mother used to hum to her when she was a child, a lullaby long lost to time but never quite forgotten. Her voice trembles as the melody slips out, raw and thin in the cold. It's an ache she can't push down, a feeling that moves through her in waves. The dog lifts its head, its ears twitching. At first it seems uninterested, but then it moves closer, slow and deliberate. Its eyes flicker to her face for a moment, then back to her hands, her fingers lightly brushing the blanket. It's the smallest of movements, but it's enough to make her stop humming. She looks down at the dog. It sits there, still and silent, watching her intently. The space between them stretches, filled with something she can't quite name. The song lingers in the air, floating like dust. She starts humming again, her voice a little steadier this time, a little stronger, and the dog doesn't move. It sits at her feet perfectly still, the low growl of the fire the only other sound. The dog stays there, eyes fixed on her, the weight of its gaze making her chest tighten. She hums a little louder now, and the dog shifts closer, its body pressing against her leg, still not making a sound. The man's footsteps reach her ears just as she finishes the song. She stops immediately, the silence between them almost suffocating. She doesn't look up at him, but she feels the weight of his gaze on her. He's standing in the doorway, his silhouette sharp against the darkness outside. The dog doesn't move, still watching the girl like it's waiting for something. The man doesn't speak for a long moment. He watches the dog, then looks at the girl. His face is unreadable, but his jaw tightens, the lines around his eyes deepening. "What's that you're singing?" His voice is rough, almost a rasp. It's not a question, really, more like a statement he's unsure how to make. The girl doesn't answer at first. She just stares at the fire. The dog's steady presence at her feet feels like something alive, something tied to the land itself. She doesn't know why, but it's the first thing in this place that doesn't feel foreign. The song is gone now, leaving only the quiet hum of the world outside. "It's nothing," she says softly, her voice barely above a whisper. The man's eyes flicker to the dog again, then back to her. "Don't matter," he says, his voice flat. "Couldn't matter less." He turns away, stepping back toward the cabin. His steps are heavy, deliberate, as if each one is a part of some burden too old to carry. The door creaks shut behind him, leaving her alone with the dog again. She lets out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The weight of the night settles back in, but the dog remains. It shifts slightly, then lays its head back down, eyes never leaving her. She looks at it for a long moment, her mind drifting back to the song, to the memory of the lullaby that once wrapped her in warmth. The song feels distant now, like something she left behind in a life she can't remember. But for some reason, the dog's presence soothes her in a way she can't explain. It's as if the two of them, her and this strange creature, are tied together by something that goes beyond the ordinary. She doesn't know how or why, but it's a bond that feels almost like fate, unavoidable and strange. Her fingers brush the dog's fur, the soft warmth of it surprising. The dog doesn't pull away. It just looks up at her again, its eyes wide, almost searching. She smiles a little, though the smile feels out of place here, in this place where smiles seem rare and almost forgotten. The girl leans back against the wall, the dog still beside her. She doesn't hum again, but the silence is different now. It's not the heavy kind that weighs on her chest. It's lighter, filled with something unspoken, something shared between them. And as the fire crackles, she feels the first stirrings of something something she can't name yet, something that might be a beginning. The house feels empty, even with the man and the dog in it. The walls creak with every gust of wind, the wood groaning like it's carrying the weight of too many memories. The girl stands in the doorway of the kitchen, the smell of stale food and old dust settling in her lungs. She doesn't move for a moment, just takes in the scene. The table in the center of the room, the chairs, the half-emptied cup by the stove, the unfinished knitting on the chair next to it. It's as if someone was here, but they've vanished without a trace. The girl's eyes drift to the chair across the table from the man's seat. It's empty. There's no one there to sit in it. It's just empty. She stands there for a moment, her fingers tightening around the handle of the broom. The dog stands at her feet, its eyes trained on her, as always, never moving, just watching. "Can I get to work, or do you need something else?" she asks, her voice quiet, almost hesitant. The man doesn't look up. His hands are rough with age, calloused from years of labor. He's peeling potatoes at the counter, his movements deliberate, methodical. "Do what you need to," he mutters, not even glancing in her direction. "You're here for that, after all." She doesn't answer. She doesn't need to. The silence between them stretches again, thick and suffocating. She's not here for anything more than labor. She's not here for companionship. She's here because she's been bought. The girl sweeps the floor, the bristles of the broom sweeping across the dusty boards. She moves past the table, and her eyes catch the knitting. The yarn is tangled, half-finished. It's a soft blue, the kind of color that might belong to a quiet, peaceful day. She doesn't know why she's drawn to it, but she kneels beside the chair, her fingers brushing the yarn. It's soft, familiar. A craft she's known once, a long time ago. The dog steps closer to her, silent as always. It's too quiet in this house. It's too heavy, the weight of what's been lost hanging over everything like a dark cloud. She knows she shouldn't be here, in this place that still holds echoes of a life long gone. The man finally speaks, breaking the silence. "Don't touch that." His voice is flat, unemotional. It's a command, but there's no anger in it, just an empty, hollow note. The girl pulls her hand back, feeling a strange pang of guilt, though she doesn't know why. She stands, dusting off her hands, but the chair across the table keeps calling to her, empty and still. The man doesn't look up again. His focus is on the potatoes. The dog doesn't leave her side, its body stiff, its eyes still locked on her every move. She finishes sweeping and places the broom in the corner. Her hands ache, but it's not from work. It's from the tension, the strange feeling that she doesn't belong here, that this house is alive in a way she can't understand. The dog follows her to the other side of the room, close enough for her to feel its warmth, but far enough to remain just out of reach. It's always there, always watching. The girl turns away from the table, her eyes flicking to the door. The man is still working in silence, his face set in a permanent frown. She wonders for the first time if he's been like this since his wife died, if he's been this cold, this withdrawn, this distant from everything around him. She moves to the back door, the hinges creaking as she opens it. The cold air rushes in, but it doesn't help. It doesn't change anything. The house is still heavy with grief, still wrapped in the silence of things that have been left behind. The dog follows her outside, and she stands there, the door slightly ajar, the wind tugging at her hair. She can't help but think of the woman whose presence still lingers in the air. The woman who's gone but left her mark on everything, the unfinished knitting, the empty chair, the way the man never looks up. The dog sits at her feet, staring up at her with those unblinking eyes. It doesn't make a sound. It doesn't move. It just watches her. She steps outside, breathing in the cold air. The dog follows, its paws leaving prints in the snow as it circles her, never straying too far. She wonders if the dog misses the woman as much as the man does, or if the dog even knows what it's mourning. The silence between them stretches again, but this time, it's not suffocating. It's different, quieter, deeper, like something unspoken that's been there for longer than she can understand. She turns back toward the house, the door creaking shut behind her. The dog is still at her heels, its presence constant, its gaze unyielding. It doesn't leave her side. The chair at the table waits for someone who will never return. The knitting remains unfinished. a part of a life that's been left behind. The house is still alive with its ghosts, its secrets, its memories. And the girl? She's starting to wonder if she's not just here to work, but to be a part of something that's much darker than she ever expected. The man's back is still to her, his face hidden in the shadow of his grief. But the dog is watching her, and it's not about to let her forget it. The air outside is thick with the smell of pine and earth, the wind biting against the skin. The girl stands by the woodpile, the axe heavy in her hands. She lifts it, her arms trembling, and strikes. The wood splits unevenly, the blade hitting the grain too hard. She tries again, but the axe doesn't sink deep enough. Her shoulders ache, her hands slick with sweat despite the cold. The dog stands a few feet away, watching her, its eyes steady. The man steps out of the cabin, boots crunching against the snow. He watches her for a moment, the lines on his face tight, his jaw set. "Come on, you've got to do better than that," he says, his voice sharp, slicing through the silence. She doesn't answer, just grips the axe tighter, raises it again, but it feels heavier this time. The man steps forward, his boots crunching louder now. "You can't be this." "Useless," he snaps, his voice laced with impatience. "You're here to work, girl. Get it done." She swings again, but the axe slips, barely grazing the wood. The girl's breath catches, frustration building in her chest. She tightens her grip and tries one more time. The wood cracks, but the blow isn't enough. The man's eyes flash, and he takes a step closer. "What are you doing? Are you trying to break it on purpose?" The dog growls low in its throat, the sound vibrating in the air. It's a low, menacing sound, not like a warning, but like something deeper, something more protective. The girl flinches, but she doesn't look at the dog. She focuses on the axe, trying to steady her hands. The man stops, the sharpness in his eyes turning toward the dog. "What's your problem?" he mutters, as if speaking to himself. The dog doesn't move, doesn't flinch. It just stands there, eyes locked on the man, the growl still rumbling deep in its chest. The tension between them builds, thick and suffocating. The man's face hardens, his hand twitching toward the rifle slung over his shoulder. The girl finally lowers the axe. Her fingers ache, the muscles in her arms burning from the strain, but she doesn't care about the pain. It's nothing compared to what she feels in the pit of her stomach. The silence between them feels like it's going to explode. She takes a breath and steps forward, not toward the man, but past him, her eyes catching the dog's. It doesn't move. It doesn't flinch. "I know what you're thinking," she says, her voice quiet but firm. The man freezes, his body tensing. His eyes narrow, as if he's trying to figure out if she's mocking him or reading his mind. He looks over his shoulder at the dog, but the dog doesn't move. It stays perfectly still, as if it's heard what she said and is waiting for the man's response. "What the hell are you talking about?" The man's voice is thick with frustration. His hand twitches at his side like he's about to lash out, but he doesn't. The girl stands her ground, the dog at her feet, silent but present. "I know what you're thinking," she repeats, her gaze steady, piercing. "You're thinking I'm not enough, that I'll never be enough, that I'm just someone to do your work for you, nothing more. You're thinking I'm just a replacement." The man's expression shifts, the anger in his face flickering for a second, like a flame that's been doused too quickly. He opens his mouth to speak, but no words come out. Instead, he just stares at her, as if she's said something he's been trying to bury for a long time. The dog shifts, its body moving closer to her. It's subtle, but the girl feels it, the way the air feels different when it's near her. She doesn't look down, but she knows the dog is watching the man. It's like the two of them, the man and the dog, are locked in some kind of battle she can't quite understand. The man finally looks away, turning his back on her, walking a few steps toward the cabin. He runs a hand over his face, his shoulders sagging under some unseen weight. "Get it done," he says, but the words don't have the same bite as before. It's almost like he's given up, like the fight's been knocked out of him. The girl watches him for a moment, but she doesn't move. She's tired of pretending, tired of standing in silence, letting him think he has control. She turns back to the woodpile, the axe in her hands again. This time it doesn't feel as heavy. The wood splits with a clean crack, the blade sinking deep. She doesn't stop. She doesn't need to look at him anymore. The dog stays close, watching, but it doesn't growl. The girl doesn't need it to. She knows the truth now. She's not just here to work. She's here to survive, and that's something no man, no dog, can take away from her. The man doesn't turn around again. He stays at the cabin, his back to her, but the tension in the air shifts. It's like the world is holding its breath, waiting for something to break. But it doesn't. Not yet. The girl swings the axe again, and again, and again. The air in the woods is thick with the smell of wet earth and moss. The trees are dense, their branches stretching out like twisted fingers, blocking most of the light. The girl walks slowly, the crunch of the leaves beneath her boots the only sound that breaks the stillness. The dog follows, its body close to hers, its eyes trained on her every movement. It's quiet here, the kind of quiet that makes her feel like she's stepping into a place that doesn't belong to her. She moves deeper into the woods, her heart pounding, though she's not sure why. She doesn't know what she's looking for, but something in the air calls to her, pulling her further along the narrow path. She doesn't stop until she sees it. The grave is old, the stone weathered and cracked, the inscription worn down by time. It's small, simple, nothing more than a slab of stone with a name barely legible anymore. But it's there, and the dog is standing next to it, its head lowered as if in quiet reverence. The girl stops a few feet away, her breath catching in her throat. The name on the stone is unfamiliar, but there's something about it that makes her chest tighten. She doesn't know why. The dog looks up at her then, its eyes dark and unreadable, like it knows something she doesn't. It doesn't move, doesn't bark, doesn't growl. It just watches her, its presence heavy in the air. For a long time, the girl just stands there, staring at the grave. She doesn't ask herself why it's here, why it's hidden in the woods away from the house. She doesn't ask why the dog spends so much time with it. She knows the answer already. It's the man's wife, the woman who's been gone for so long but still lingers in the shadows of this place. The girl kneels beside the grave, brushing her fingers against the cold stone. It's worn, almost erased by time, but the name is still there, faint but clear. She feels a shiver run down her spine as she traces the letters, as if the past is reaching out to her, begging her to remember. "I know you're still here," she whispers, though she's not sure why she says it. Maybe because she can feel it, deep in her bones. The presence that never really left. The dog growls softly, a low warning sound. But the girl doesn't move. She doesn't look up. She stands slowly, her eyes fixed on the grave. Something in her chest is tight, her heart heavy, as if the weight of this place is sinking in. She knows she shouldn't be here. She knows the man wouldn't want her to see this, wouldn't want her to understand. But the past is here, in the earth beneath her feet, in the air around her. It's alive, and she can feel it. The dog watches her again, its eyes steady, unblinking. It's like it's waiting for her to say something, to acknowledge the truth that's buried here. The girl turns away from the grave, her breath coming faster now. She doesn't know where to go, what to do. The path back to the cabin seems longer now, as if the woods are closing in around her. She doesn't dare look back at the grave, but the dog doesn't leave her side. It stays close, its body brushing against hers with each step, its gaze never leaving her. She can feel it, its presence as constant as her own heartbeat. When they reach the clearing, she doesn't stop. She doesn't look at the cabin, at the man waiting inside. She just walks toward the edge of the woods, toward the hill that overlooks the valley. The dog stays with her, its paws steady in the dirt, its eyes locked ahead. She reaches the top of the hill and stops. The valley below stretches out before her, the wind tugging at her hair, the landscape barren and wild. It's the kind of place that could swallow you whole, the kind of place where the past doesn't just live. It consumes everything around it. The dog sits beside her, its back straight, its gaze unwavering. For a moment, it almost seems to be looking toward the cabin, toward the man. But it doesn't move, doesn't bark. She wonders if it's watching him, waiting for something, waiting for her, waiting for the past to finally catch up to them both. The girl doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. She knows something now, something that she hadn't realized before. This house, this land, the man, it's all tied to the past. The present is just a shadow of what came before, and the weight of it all presses down on her like the dirt of the grave. She's here for a reason. But she doesn't know what that reason is yet. All she knows is that she can't escape it. None of them can. The past is alive, and it's waiting for them all. The fire crackles softly in the hearth, sending sparks dancing into the air. The wind howls outside, rattling the windows. But inside, the cabin is still, too still. The girl sits across from the man, watching the flames, her fingers drumming against her knee in restless rhythm. The dog lies at the man's feet, its head resting on its paws, but its eyes never leave the girl. The tension in the air is thick, like something unsaid lingering between them. She waits. The man's silence is heavier tonight, as if the weight of something deeper presses against his chest. For a long time, neither of them speaks. The girl feels the heaviness of his presence, the quiet that wraps around him like a second skin. She doesn't know what to say, doesn't know if she's supposed to say anything at all. He hasn't asked for her to speak, but she feels the pull of it, something in the stillness that urges her to break it, to ease the tension between them. Finally, his voice breaks the silence, low and rough. "I never told you how she died." The words land heavy in the room, and the girl looks up sharply, her chest tightening at the rawness in his voice. The man doesn't look at her, his eyes fixed on the fire, his face shadowed in the flickering light. The dog shifts at his feet, its body stiffening as if sensing the shift in the man's mood. "She was in the barn that night," he continues, his voice breaking on the words. "I don't know how it happened. A spark, a gust of wind, could have been anything. But the fire spread fast, too fast." The girl shifts in her seat, but she doesn't speak. She watches him, her breath held tight in her chest. He keeps talking, his voice almost a whisper now. "I tried to get to her. I tried." His voice cracks, and the sound of it tears through the heavy silence between them. "But by the time I reached the barn, the flames had already consumed everything that mattered." The man pauses, and the girl sees his shoulders tense, his jaw set in a hard line. His hands, which had been resting on his knees, curl into fists. The pain in his face is almost unbearable, like it's too much for him to carry. He's not just talking about the fire anymore. He's talking about the years since, the grief that has never left him. The dog growls softly, low and guttural, as if sensing the change in the man's emotions. The man doesn't acknowledge it, but the girl sees how his body stiffens, how the weight of his words presses down on him. "She died, and I couldn't save her," he says, his voice rough, like it's been stuck in his throat for too long. "I couldn't even bury her the way she deserved. I couldn't even give her that. Just ashes. All I had left were the ashes." The girl feels a twist in her gut, the heaviness of his words pressing on her chest. She doesn't know what to say to that. What do you say to someone who's lost so much? She can feel his grief, raw and painful, almost like it's spilling out of him and into the room. But there's something else there too, something that catches her. A tension. There's anger in his voice, a fierce, burning anger that hasn't been extinguished, that's still smoldering beneath the surface. She wonders if it's that anger that's keeping him alive, keeping him from breaking completely. The girl opens her mouth to speak, but no words come out. She feels a strange knot forming in her throat, the weight of her own silence pressing down on her. She doesn't know if she's supposed to pity him or resent him. She doesn't know if she's supposed to comfort him or stay away. The past is too tangled, too broken, and she's just a stranger in this house, a stranger in his grief. "I'm going to make them pay," the man says suddenly, his eyes burning with a cold fire. "The ones who did this, I'm going to hunt them down, every last one of them, and I'll make sure they suffer the way she did. I'll make them burn." The girl's heart stutters in her chest. The intensity in his voice sends a shiver down her spine. She doesn't know what to make of it, doesn't know if he's talking about vengeance or madness. The dog doesn't move, but its growl deepens, the sound vibrating in the room. It's like the dog knows, like it understands the man's desire for revenge, the way the past has shaped him into this shadow of what he once was. The girl doesn't speak. She doesn't know what to say to that either. The man's hands tremble as they rest on his knees. The girl notices the way his knuckles are white, the way the anger is still burning inside him, even as his voice softens. "It's all I've got left," he says, almost to himself. "All I have left is this, the desire to make them pay, the need to burn." The girl shifts in her seat, the weight of his words sinking into her chest. She looks at the dog, its eyes steady, unblinking. The dog's presence feels heavier now, like it's tied to the man's grief, his rage, his need for revenge. She wonders if the dog is a reminder of what he's lost, or if it's something else entirely. She watches the man for a long time, unsure of what to say or do. She wonders if her presence here, in this place, is just another reminder of what's been lost. She wonders if she's just a shadow of the woman who once lived here, a ghost walking through the ashes of a life that can never be returned. The fire crackles again, louder now, the sound of it snapping the silence between them. She hears the man take a deep breath, but he doesn't speak. The dog shifts, its body moving closer to him, its eyes fixed on the girl. She doesn't speak either. She doesn't know what words could possibly ease this pain, this grief, this burning need for revenge. The fire continues to burn, the flames licking the air, while the ashes of the past settle around them, heavy and unyielding. The night is still, the air thick with silence. The fire crackles low in the hearth, but the room feels colder than it should. The girl sits by the fire, her back against the wall, her fingers absently tracing the edges of the blanket wrapped around her shoulders. The dog lies at her feet, its body stretched out, eyes half closed but never fully resting. The man is in the corner, sitting with his back to the wall, staring into the flames. The weight of the day lingers in the room, thick like the smoke curling from the fire. She knows he's still thinking about the past, about the wife he lost, the fire that took everything from him. But she's not thinking about that. Not now. Instead, the girl hums softly, the tune low and mournful, a lullaby long buried in her heart. It's a song she hasn't sung in years, a song her mother used to sing to her when the nights were too long, when the silence was too heavy. She doesn't know why it comes to her now, but it does. The words come slowly at first, a gentle pull from somewhere deep inside her, the words flowing quietly into the night air. The dog shifts, its ears twitching, its eyes blinking open. It doesn't growl or move, but it lifts its head slightly, its gaze fixed on the girl. For a moment she wonders if it will leave, if it will grow restless and wander away. But it doesn't. It stays. Her voice catches in her throat, a tremor running through the melody. The song is about loss, about hope, about things that can never be replaced. It's a simple song, but the words are heavy. She sings them anyway because something in her needs to. The ache in her chest is unbearable, and the song is the only thing that can give her release. To her surprise, the dog rises from the floor and pads over to her, its body moving slowly, deliberately. It sits by her feet, its head tilting to one side, eyes locked on hers. It doesn't bark, doesn't whine, it just watches, listening intently. She keeps singing, her voice soft and steady now, the words coming easier. The dog stays by her side, its presence comforting in a way she can't explain. She feels the weight of its gaze, the way it's holding her in place, as if the song itself is something it needs, something it understands. And then, without warning, the dog howls. The sound is deep, mournful, a cry that echoes through the cabin like the wind howling outside. The girl falters for a moment, surprised by the strength of it, by the rawness of the emotion that pours from the dog. She's never heard it before, not like this. It's a sound filled with sorrow, with a longing that she can almost feel in her own chest. She stops singing, her breath catching in her throat, her eyes wide. The dog's howl reverberates in the silence, filling the room with something she can't name. It's as if the dog is calling out to something, something it's lost, something it's waiting for. The man, who has been watching them from the shadows, stands suddenly, his eyes fixed on the girl and the dog. His body is tense, his shoulders stiff, like he's trying to hold something back. He doesn't speak, but his gaze shifts from the girl to the dog, then back to her again. The girl, still caught in the moment, looks up at him. There's something in his eyes, something darker than the grief she's seen before, something raw and unsettled. He opens his mouth as if to say something, but the words don't come. The dog's howl fades, but the silence that follows is thicker than before. The girl doesn't speak. She doesn't know what to say. The man is still staring at her, but now there's something different in his gaze. It's like he's seeing her in a way he never has before, like he's hearing something in her voice that unsettles him, something he doesn't want to acknowledge. The girl feels it too. There's something about her voice, about the song, that has broken something inside the man. It's not just the dog's howl that shakes him. It's her. The way she's been carrying that grief, the way it leaks out through her voice, through her words. The way it touches something in him that he's buried for so long. He moves toward the door, the tension in his body tightening with each step. The dog watches him, its eyes never leaving the man, as if it knows something he doesn't. The girl watches them both, her heart racing. She doesn't know what to say and doesn't know how to bridge this gap between them. The man stops at the door, his back to her, the weight of the moment hanging between them. The dog doesn't move, doesn't follow him. It stays by her side, its eyes still fixed on her, waiting. The man's voice breaks the silence, low and harsh. "I don't want to hear that again." The words cut through the room like a knife. She doesn't move, doesn't say anything. The man doesn't turn around, but she can hear him breathe, his chest rising and falling with the effort it takes to hold himself together. The dog's gaze shifts toward the man, then back to her, its body tense, its growl almost imperceptible. The girl looks down at the dog, her fingers brushing the top of its head. The moment lingers, the song still hanging in the air, the weight of it pressing on her chest. She knows she can't take back what's been said, what's been heard. She knows that something has shifted between them, between her and the man, between her and the dog. But for now, the silence is all she has. She closes her eyes for a moment, letting the stillness settle around her, feeling the ache of the past seep into her bones. And the dog stays by her side, its steady presence a reminder that, even in the silence, something is still alive. The night falls thick, the air cool against her skin as the girl walks along the edge of the property, the dog trailing silently behind her. The wind rustles through the trees, carrying with it a whisper of something forgotten. She doesn't know why she's here, why she feels the pull to leave the cabin, but the dog's presence is constant, guiding her, its body never more than a few steps behind. The man is inside in the cabin, but the girl can sense the change in him. There's a shift in the air around him, a tension she's not sure how to name. He's different now, more restless, more consumed by something she can't see. His eyes flicker with moments of anger, with a pain he tries to hide but can't. And it's like he's not even aware that she's watching him, that she sees the way he's unraveling, one thread at a time. The girl stops, her gaze drawn to the edge of the woods. The path leads toward the creek, but she knows it's not just the water calling to her, it's the dog. She looks down at it. It stands still, its body tense, its eyes locked ahead. The air around them feels alive, electric, and she knows the dog wants her to follow. Without thinking, she starts walking again, stepping over rocks and branches, her feet guided by something she can't explain. The dog moves ahead, its movements fluid and sure, like it knows this place like the back of its paw. The girl doesn't question it. She just follows, letting the dog lead her deeper into the woods, away from the house. She's not sure how long they've been walking, but the trees begin to thin, the underbrush giving way to a clearing. There, hidden from view, is an old well. It's covered with thick moss, the stone crumbling in places, the wood rotting at the top. The girl stops just short of it, the air heavy with the smell of damp earth. The dog sits at her feet watching the well. The silence between them feels heavy, like the ground beneath them is holding something deep, something buried. The girl feels it too, a sense of history, of something that's been forgotten. She walks toward it slowly, her fingers brushing the rough stone as she gets closer. It feels cold, colder than the air around her. She peers inside, but the darkness is thick and impenetrable. She can't see anything, can't hear anything beyond the steady pulse of her own heartbeat. She knows there's something in there, something that doesn't belong to the world above, something the earth has kept hidden for too long. Behind her, the sound of footsteps crunching on the ground breaks the silence. She turns quickly, her heart skipping a beat. It's the man, his face pale, his eyes wide. He's standing at the edge of the clearing, his body rigid, his breathing uneven. "What are you doing here?" His voice is sharp, jagged, like it's been cut by the same edges that are starting to wear him down. The girl doesn't answer immediately. She's still standing by the well, the dog by her side, its eyes locked on the man now. The tension between them thickens. She's not sure what he's going to do, but she can feel the way his anger pulses in the air, like it's ready to burst. He steps forward, his boots crunching loudly against the ground. "You shouldn't be here," he mutters, the words rough and strained. She stands still, her gaze not leaving him. She doesn't know why she's so calm, why the anger he's lashing out with doesn't scare her. Maybe it's because she's seen it before, in the way his eyes flicker with things he can't contain. He's not just angry. He's lost. And she's starting to realize it's not just his wife he's mourning. I didn't mean to." She tries to speak, but the words catch in her throat. The dog growls softly, its body tensing. The man's eyes flick to it, and for a moment, something in his face changes. He looks almost afraid, as if the dog is somehow more than just an animal, as if it knows something he doesn't. He takes a step back, his hand lifting slightly as if to ward it off. The girl watches him, her heart beating faster now. She can feel the weight of everything between them, the weight of his grief, his rage, and the weight of the past that's come alive in this moment. She's not sure if she should apologize, if she should ask if he's okay. But the truth is, she's not sure what any of them are anymore. "I didn't mean to remind you," she says softly, her voice steady. "I know I'm not her." The man's face tightens, his jaw clenching, as though the words cut deeper than she intended. "You think you can replace her?" he snaps, the anger flashing in his eyes again. But there's something more in his gaze now, something that's raw and torn, something that's not anger anymore. It's a vulnerability. She looks away for a moment, not because she's afraid of him, but because she can feel the weight of everything he's holding inside. She can see it in his eyes, the struggle, the battle between the man he once was and the man he's become. "I'm not trying to replace anyone," she says quietly, her voice softer now. "I'm just trying to figure out where I fit." The man doesn't answer. He stands there looking at her with an unreadable expression. The dog, sensing the shift, lies down at her feet again, its eyes still fixed on the man. The girl feels the moment stretch, the air thick with unsaid words. The man finally looks away, his shoulders slumping as if the fight has left him. He turns and walks away slowly, back toward the cabin, his steps heavy. The girl watches him go, feeling the pull of his grief, the weight of everything he's lost, and the weight of the space she's left to fill. She stands there for a moment longer, the dog beside her, both of them staring at the well. The past is alive in this place, in the air, in the earth beneath her feet. The girl doesn't know what it means, doesn't know what to make of it all. But she knows one thing. This house, this land, this man. It's all haunted. And there's no escaping it, not for any of them, not for her. The man stands by the window, staring out into the woods, his back to her. The girl watches him, her breath catching in her throat as the silence between them thickens. The house is quiet. The only sound is the occasional crackle of the fire in the hearth. But the silence is suffocating, and it's been like this for days, tension hanging in the air, unspoken words weighing on both of them. She's had enough of it. She's had enough of the grief that hangs around him, enough of the anger he tries to bury, enough of the past he won't let go of. "You're still living in it," she says, her voice cutting through the stillness like a knife. The man doesn't turn around, doesn't acknowledge her words. He's staring out the window, his jaw clenched tight, but she knows he's hurt her. "You're stuck, aren't you?" she presses, stepping closer, her words rising with every step. "You're still clinging to her memory like it's all you have left. You're stuck in that fire, in the ashes of what's gone, and you won't let it go." His shoulders stiffen, but he doesn't speak. He doesn't even look at her. The air between them crackles with the intensity of unsaid things, the weight of grief that's never been spoken, never been addressed. "You think if you keep punishing yourself, keep living in that past, that somehow it'll bring her back?" Her voice shakes with the force of it, but she doesn't stop. "You think that if you just keep holding on to that anger, that it'll fix everything? It won't. It's only making it worse." The man's fists clench at his sides, his knuckles turning white. He takes a slow, deep breath, like he's trying to keep himself in check, trying to hold on to whatever shred of control he has left. "You don't understand," he says, his voice rough, barely above a whisper. "You don't know what it's like to lose everything, to have it all ripped away from you, To watch the woman you loved go up in flames. The words hit her like a blow to the chest. She feels them, deep in her bones. She knows the pain, the loss. She knows what it's like to feel like there's nothing left, nothing to hold on to. But she's not letting him get away with it anymore. I know, she says quietly. I know what it's like to lose someone. He finally turns to her, his eyes hard and cold, the anger still flickering behind them. You don't know. You don't know what it's like to lose the person you thought you couldn't live without. You don't know what it's like to have the world burn around you, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. His voice rises, the pain spilling out of him in a torrent, but the girl doesn't flinch. She stands her ground, her heart pounding in her chest. You've been living in that fire for years, she says, her voice trembling but firm. You're not living anymore. You're just existing. You've buried yourself in this house, in this memory, and you won't let go. But it's not her you're holding on to. It's the pain. It's the anger. It's the grief. For a moment, he doesn't say anything. The room is thick with the weight of their words, the tension between them so thick it's almost suffocating. He opens his mouth to speak, but before he can, the dog growls, a low, deep sound that shakes the air. The girl's heart skips in her chest. The dog has never growled like that before. It's not the usual warning growl. It's different, desperate, filled with something more primal. The man's eyes snap to the dog, but the growl intensifies, echoing in the room, and then, before anyone can react, the dog lunges. The man steps back, his body reacting instinctively, but it's too late. The dog isn't attacking out of malice. It's not attacking the man, it's attacking the girl. The dog's teeth sink into her arm, the sharp sting of pain shooting through her. She gasps, staggering back, but the dog doesn't let go. It's desperate, its body shaking with the force of its bite. "Get it off me!" she cries, her voice filled with panic. The man moves quickly, grabbing the dog by the collar and pulling it away, his grip tight with fear and urgency. The dog snarls, its body fighting against him, but it stops when he forces it back, away from her. The girl stumbles backward, clutching her arm, the blood staining her sleeve. The man looks at her, his face pale, his eyes wide with something she can't name. "You," he starts, his voice thick with disbelief. "What the hell is wrong with you? Why did it attack you?" The dog calms, but it stays at his feet, its body rigid, its eyes darting between the girl and the man. It's not the same dog. Not anymore. Something in its eyes has changed, something deeper, darker. The girl realizes it at that moment. The dog isn't just mourning its owner, it's guarding something. She looks at the dog, her mind racing. "It's not about me," she says softly, her voice trembling. "It's about you." The man doesn't respond, but the look in his eyes tells her he understands. The dog's actions were a warning, a desperate attempt to keep the truth buried, to keep the past locked away where it can't hurt him anymore. But it's too late. The past is already here, and the dog knows it. The room falls silent again, but this time, it's different. The girl knows what she has to do. She knows what the man has to face, but she also knows that neither of them can escape the truth, not anymore. The air is thick with smoke. The man stands at the edge of the barn, his fists clenched at his sides, his breath ragged. The girl watches him, her eyes fixed on his figure as he stands there, trembling. The dog lies at her feet, its eyes locked on the man. It doesn't growl, it doesn't bark, it just watches. He doesn't speak, but his hands are shaking. He's holding a match, the flame flickering in the dark. The wind picks up, howling through the trees, but the man doesn't move. He stares at the barn, his face hard, his eyes empty. For a long moment, the world is still. Then, the match drops to the ground, a small spark. In the night. The barn is old, the wood dry and brittle, the roof sagging with years of neglect. The flame catches quickly, the fire climbing up the side of the barn like it's been waiting for this moment. The man steps back, his body trembling, his chest heaving. He watches the flames grow, licking at the sky, eating away at the building. The smoke curls into the night, thick and suffocating. The girl doesn't move. She's standing still, the weight of the moment pressing down on her. The fire casts long shadows across the yard, turning the night into a blaze of red and orange. She feels the heat of it on her skin. but she doesn't flinch. For a moment, it feels like time has stopped. The man is standing there, lost in the flames, and the girl is watching him. She knows what he's doing. He's trying to burn away the past, to destroy it with fire, but she knows deep down that it's not going to work. Fire doesn't cleanse, it doesn't heal. It just consumes. She takes a deep breath, and then, without thinking, she starts to sing. The song rises from her chest, soft at first, then building in strength. It's the same song she sang before, the one she sang for the dog, the one that spoke of loss and hope. Her voice rises above the crackling of the fire, rising above the chaos, the flames, the smoke. The dog at her feet doesn't move. It stays perfectly still, its eyes fixed on the flames, its body tense. There's an eerie calm to it now, as if the fire doesn't bother it, as if the dog knows something she doesn't. The girl's voice carries, rising above the crackle of the fire, filling the air with something that feels like a prayer. The song is soft but powerful, filled with everything she's lost and everything she still holds on to. It's a song of defiance, of survival, of things she's trying to hold on to despite the fire. The man doesn't move. He's still staring at the flames, but his body is rigid, like he's caught in some kind of trance. The girl's voice cuts through the air, piercing the night, and she wonders if he can hear her. Can he hear the pain in her voice? Can he hear the truth she's trying to say? The fire is burning hotter now, the heat pressing against her skin, but she doesn't stop singing. She won't stop. The dog shifts, its gaze moving from the fire to the man, then back to the flames. It doesn't growl, doesn't bark, it just watches. Its body is still, but there's a change in its eyes. It's like it knows something's about to happen, like it's waiting for the man to finally see what's been in front of him all along. The girl's voice quivers with the weight of the song, and for a moment, the fire feels like it's not just burning the barn, it's burning something inside her too. She's pouring everything she's kept hidden into that song, everything she's never been able to say. Finally, the man turns, his eyes searching for her in the glow of the flames. His face is tense, his features twisted with something she can't name. He steps toward her, but his movements are slow, deliberate. The fire lights up his face, casting shadows across his features. There's something different in his eyes now, something that wasn't there before. His expression is unreadable, but there's a shift, a flicker of understanding, like the fire is burning away the fog that's clouded his mind. He stops just short of her, his body still, his gaze locked on her face. The song still lingers in the air, but it's different now, like the flames have somehow made it real. She stops singing, but her breath is shallow, her heart racing in her chest. For a long moment, neither of them speaks. The fire crackles between them, the only sound in the night. The dog still doesn't move. It's like it's waiting for something to change, waiting for the man to see the truth, to finally understand. The man looks down at the girl, his eyes flicking to the dog, then back to her. For a brief moment, it's like the world slows down. She can feel the weight of the past on his shoulders, the grief, the anger, the need for vengeance. But she also feels something else now, something she can't explain. He opens his mouth to speak, but no words come. Instead, he reaches out, his hand trembling as he touches her arm, just barely grazing her skin. It's a light touch, but it's enough. It's like the fire has burned away the walls between them, like the song has broken something open. The dog shifts again, its body moving closer to her, its eyes locked on the man. There's something in the dog's gaze, something that tells her the truth. This isn't just about the fire. It's about what's been buried, what's been hidden for so long, and maybe, just maybe, they can finally start to face it. The flames of the barn roar behind them, but the man doesn't look at it anymore. He's looking at her, and in that moment, she feels something she hasn't felt since she arrived. Hope. In the fire's light, she sees the man differently. The barn is a smoldering ruin, nothing left but ashes and the skeleton of a building that once stood tall. The fire has burned through everything, consumed it all, until nothing is left but the faint scent of smoke and charred wood. The man stands at the edge of the ruins, his hands in his pockets, his shoulders slumped, as though the weight of the past has finally caught up with him. He doesn't speak. He doesn't move. He just watches the ashes settle in the wind. The girl stands amidst the charred remains, her feet bare, the ground beneath her warm and still. The dog lies by her feet, as it always has, its body pressed close to hers, its eyes fixed on her with a quiet intensity. She doesn't acknowledge the man. She doesn't need to. Instead, she closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and begins to sing. It's not the same song she sang before. This one is different. It's softer, slower, but it carries the weight of everything she's been through, everything she's become. It's a song of transformation, of release. The melody swells in the air, rising from her chest like a breath of air that's been held too long. Her voice is clear, strong, and it rises above the stillness, over the remains of the fire, over the ashes of the past. It's a song of letting go, of finding strength in the destruction, of building something new from the ruins. The dog doesn't move. It just stays by her feet, its body still, but its eyes never leave her. It knows. It knows what she's doing, what this moment means. It has always been known. The man at the edge of the ruins watches her. He's still, his eyes fixed on her, but something has shifted in his gaze. He doesn't see her as the girl he bought anymore. He doesn't see her as a replacement for what he lost. For the first time, he sees her for what she truly is, a force in her own right. The power balance has shifted. She is no longer just a servant. She is someone who has stood in the fire, who has walked through the ashes, and who has found something new in herself. He can feel it now, the weight of it, the way her voice moves through him, the way she is changed in the light of the flames. For the first time, the man acknowledges it. A flicker of understanding crosses his face, and his breath catches in his throat. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. The song says everything. The girl's voice rises higher now, the last note ringing out into the night, lingering in the air like a promise. It's a note of hope, despite everything. Hope in the face of loss, hope in the face of pain, hope in the face of everything that's been burned away. The wind picks up, carrying the last note through the ruins, through the woods, through the empty spaces that have been left behind. The fire may have taken everything, but the song has brought something new, something alive. The girl stops singing, her voice fading into the night. The dog stands, stretching, then returns to her side, sitting quietly at her feet once again. The man doesn't move. He stands there, watching, as the last remnants of the fire smolder in the distance, the ashes floating in the breeze. And for the first time since the fire, there's a feeling of peace in the air. The past may never be fully erased, but the future is here, and it's waiting.